Okay, everybody, it is 12 o'clock on the button. So we are going to get going with our noon session here. We have our three legislators that'll be up for abuse by us. Can't wait. I hope we get lots of chat, Q&A. You can also text me with your questions. But first of all, we're going to hear from our Public Affairs Committee Chair this year, Cam Jones, with Edward Jones here in Brookings, and he will do our introductions. So Cam, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kelsey, and thank you everyone for joining us today for the Brookings Day at the Capitol. As Kelsey mentioned, my name is Cam Jones. I'm a financial advisor with Edward Jones here in Brookings. And I also have the honor of serving as the chair for the Chamber Public Affairs Committee. The Public Affairs Committee is designed to engage, inform, and advocate for the Brookings community regarding relevant public policy at the local and state level. And the Brookings Day at the Capitol is just one of the ways that we do that, right? By engaging with those in peer and advocating for the Brookings community. So not only are we excited for today's events, but also events yet to come this year. So keep an eye out for those. Today, I have the privilege of introducing our speakers for this session, our District 7 legislators. Before I introduce them, I want to take just a quick second and thank them for their service to our community. I'd imagine it's not necessarily an easy job that these individuals hold, and when you factor in some of the political division we see in our world today, I'd have to imagine that there are times where it's very challenging. But I've had the opportunity to get to know these individuals the last couple of years, and I can tell you this. These three wake up every day asking how can make our community, our state, and our world a better place. So for that, gentlemen, we say thank you. So without further ado, let me turn it over to our District 7 legislators, House Representatives Tim Reed and Larry Tidemann, and Senator V.J. Smith.
Hello, thank you, Cam. Appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. Like everything else this past year, it's weird. It's strange in the Capitol. It's cumbersome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of a general flow of things right now, and then turn it over to Representative Reed and Representative Tidemann. Just so you know, and you've read about it, the question is how are we handling business here in Pierre? The House is different than the Senate in that we as senators are expected to wear masks on the floor. And I can tell you right now through observation, 2/3 of the senators honor that. When we are in committee, it's required that anyone who comes to testify wear a mask. And the senators at their discretion will wear masks or not. I chair the Ag Committee and Natural Resources, and yesterday when in the preliminary part of the meeting, I told the group, there were probably about 35 people in that room, I said, you are required to wear a mask by the rules that we have adopted. And I happened to look up, and I was looking into the face of Lieutenant Governor Larry Roden, who wasn't wearing a mask. And so that was an interesting moment in my mind. So, for the most part, on the Senate side, people are abiding by the wearing of masks. It has been cumbersome. The traditional days of seeing people out in the halls, talking to them, going to the evening socials where you different groups have them because they want to get in your ear about whatever. A lot of that is curtailed, just like what happened with Brookings and Sdsu Day here. I know that people deeply appreciated, my colleagues deeply appreciated the gifts that Brookings gave, and many of them commented on it. I even saw some smiles on the faces of USD graduates, and so that's always a good thing. So I'll just wait for questions, and I'm going to turn this over to Representative Reed.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I guess I don't know, for those of you that probably noticed, I'm in a neck brace here, and I just had surgery right before Christmas, and everything's going really well. I just have to keep it on. I got a little dial on here, so when I have to talk a lot, I can dial it down so I can have a little more jaw room, which we talked a lot while we're out here. Senator Smith made a very good comment about weird. Besides what he's talking about with COVID, as you know, there were threats on capitals all across the nation. We've been, when we walk in, we've got armed, around the Capitol, we've got armed National Guardsmen in full battle gear and Humvees in different areas. And so that was a moment of pause this morning when we walked in, but there hasn't been any protests or anything. I think there really wasn't anything that was planned to be happening in South Dakota, and we're kind of a little insulated. I don't know what happened, around other states. We haven't heard. We're just getting started with the legislature. Really mostly organizing items. And, last week we heard state of the state from the governor, and then we heard state of the judiciary from the new chief justice. And then we heard the state of the tribes. State of the tribes is very interesting this year. A gentleman came in and just really wanted to talk about cooperation. How can we work together? And so that was really great. As far as bills, I would say they're coming in a little slow. And some of that could have been due to COVID, slowing everybody down in just different ways. So we haven't seen a whole ton of bills yet, but I think over the next week, we have a deadline coming up when we have our unlimited bills that we can submit. And so we're really going to be talking a lot about money. We've got all this one-time funds because of COVID funds, and we have to figure out what's the best way of managing those funds. How can we invest those funds we have so South Dakota continues to be successful, and the infrastructure, is well set up for years to come. So there's going to be a lot of discussion. We'll use the word discussion right now about it. I think it'll turn to much more arguments in the future. But like I said, we're really getting just kind of started with finding out about all the bills. And one other just last point is I so miss standing in front of the group. I mean, the Brookings Day is so fun to walk over and see the group of people and just have that interaction on what's going on. So I just want to, I miss you guys being out here. I miss some of the other people that are coming out here, but we're going to get the people's work done this year, and hopefully next year we'll be in much better shape. And I will turn it over to Representative Tidemann.
And I want to thank you also for the box of treats. Those food samples were fantastic. For nothing but great comments. And when you can say they're made at the Sdsu dairy plant or the meat slab or a nice little coffee shop in town, it really makes a difference to the people that we talk with. Yes, it is different this year than it was 2 years ago, but it is the same in that everything kind of starts slow when you have that first year of that new term of legislators. I will say that all of the state agency people that have come and talked to us about those bills that are already pre-dropped before session, they're all wearing masks. We have one row that is totally wearing a mask in the House. So we're following more of the rules of the Senate. I think it makes it a little confusing for people who want to come out here, but there are masks provided, as well as different stations where you can sanitize your hands. And so that message being moved forward very good. Currently, I'm on 4 different committees. We've had bills in 2 of them, taxation, transportation, military veterans affairs, and then today I'll be on the retirement laws. I serve as vice chair on that. Retirement laws has a huge impact on the Brookings community. Brookings County receives about $39 million through the retirement system from people who have retired in Brookings. And so that's a huge economic impact for our community. And so it's important to keep that system as either number 1 or number 2 in the nation. And I just want to say thank you for your support and welcome questions as we go forward.
Okay, well, Tim, the first question, of course, is what happened to your neck? Are you okay?
And I did have surgery, and I'm doing great. I'm doing absolutely great. Mike Bartley right away said, hey, you could have had my neck brace, but I'm ready to sell mine. That's what I thought of.
I was like, I wonder if they're sharing. Those things are expensive. Okay, gentlemen. So I've had a few questions come in here. And then hopefully we get more in the Q&A here, but they're mostly coming from our Leadership Brookings group, which is really awesome. So keep those coming, guys. and gals. So the first one, Tim Reed said there are lots of one-time dollars available. Are those from the federal government? And how would each of you like to see those dollars spent?
Well, I'll take the first part of the question because we all probably have our different views on the money, and so does everybody else here in the legislature. But what happened with the COVID funds is a lot of that money could be used for public safety during the pandemic. And so all in different things like that, it's the same way that it kind of worked for the city also in the funds that they had. So basically what's happened with these one-time funds is when the money got exchanged to pay for public safety, then we have these funds that we can use one time. I think top priorities for them, one is the needs-based scholarship. That's been talked about by the governor. We need to work through, making sure that happens because the matching funds are out there. I mean, we've got the ability to get $2 in endowed scholarship fund for every dollar that we put in. And so I think that's a fantastic program. The other thing that we're all advocating is the bioprocessing. That's also a real important, good thing for Brookings. Hopefully we can get a building and get the institute started at the research park. Third thing that we have to discuss and figure out what's the right amount. But I do think the broadband, looking beyond Brookings and, our needs is broadband. The governor has a very aggressive plan to get broadband to everybody, in the state. And the ability to do that, I think, would be very good for commerce. And so I will turn it over to Representative Tidemann.
Well, I agree with the points that Tim has identified. He's riding out with me and back from Pierre, so we have a lot of time to talk about how we want to spend this one-time money. And it is one-time money, so you can't really put it on salaries, but we could use it for bonuses. So in addition to the items, the needs-based scholarship, I agree. I think that's one of the top things we need to look at. Broadband, that helps businesses across the state where we can have people working remotely. We have parts of South Dakota where they have very, very poor service. And so this will help bring South Dakota up to the future. I think that the building, the bioprocessing buildings are one-time expense. There's no ongoing expense, especially if it's built at the research park. The maintenance and repair will have to be picked up by somebody other than the state. Bonuses, that came up yesterday in our WIP group meeting. We were talking about, okay, we can't put it towards state employee salaries, but we could do bonuses, that type of thing. Maybe some investment in K-12 education as well, but it's one-time dollars. Don't put it on people.
Okay, my response, we're up in this small area in the Capitol. There are 4 desks just crammed in here, and so we're just whipping the computer around. Anyway, we're on the same page in terms of the bioprocessing, the needs-based scholarship. Those obviously have a huge impact on Brookings. But here's the deal. There are 35 senators and obviously 70 representatives. And everyone has their own pet projects within those districts that they want funded. And so the list is getting longer in terms of what people want. And some of them have ideas have merit, and some you think, where did that come from? And so that'll all have to be fleshed out over time. I used this expression before, and it's a little bit, I don't know if anybody from the media is on listening to this, so I have to be a little careful what I say. I won't cuss, but this year, let's face it, beginning last March, we were all worried about where we were going to be, not only as a society, but in terms of a government institution. Was everything just going to fall apart? And we never thought that in January 2021, we'd be kind of drunk with money, that we have all this extra money available to us, which is really one-time money. I know people want increases here and increases there, but you just can't do it. It's not financially sound to start doing that. So I see my colleague, former Senator Tidemann, wants to talk right now, so I'm going to send it his way.
So just to kind of bring it into perspective, if you look at the budget book, the governor put forth about $225 to $250 million of one-time expenditures. That's her Christmas tree. We can take some ornaments off if we don't agree and put it on different ornament. But there's also going to be another 50 to 70 million available of one-time dollars. So that becomes that part. The other good news is that sales and use tax in the state is up compared to a year ago. So we do have some money for ongoing expenses, like the 2.4% increase for state employees to schools and to the providers. So that's good news on that side, and that's in the governor's budget. So those are things that we can work for.
Good stuff. A follow-up question to something you all touched on, and that is the bioprocessing plant. Can you just do a quick summary of what that is for our students who aren't sure what's happening there?
Sure. This is really a great project because it's combining efforts from the School of Mines out in Rapid City, along with Sdsu. School of Mines has chemical engineers, and we have very good agronomy and microbiology, and also some other engineering fields. And what this plant is about is taking the products we make, and creating them into other products. And when I should say the products we grow. And so there's things you can do with corn that you can actually turn it into plastics. We know that we have Prairie Aquatech. That's Prairie Aquatech is taking the soy meal through some microbiology, kind of fermenting it, and it gets it in a better protein mix for fish. And so we want to be able to pump out more companies like that. We want to support our ethanol industry because they're looking at different products that they can make. And so this institute will house the smart people that can either help businesses or create new businesses for South Dakota. It will also work because bringing those two groups together, it'll also work to build that bioprocessing workforce that we'll need in the future.
Perfect.
We got thumbs up from the sides.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Going from here to here. Okay. The 2.4 increase for SDSU employees. I'm getting a question, is the South Dakota General Fund paying for that, or where does that money come from?
And again, that would be general fund dollars. And then if you are on a split appointment where you are on federal dollars or other dollars, those are the fund sources that they would come from. But the 2.4% increase is usually what the Board of Regents would go along with if that's passed. And so if you look at the budget book, there's about $9 million going out there for general funds for all state employee salary increase, about $4 million for federal funds, and another $11 million of other funds. Other funds include tuition dollars. So if I'm teaching, I'm paid primarily on tuition. But that's a great increase of 2.4%. It's above what the cost of living increase would be. And the governor put that in early. So yes, some of it is general funds, but there's also other funds depending upon where your paycheck's coming from.
Okay. A follow-up question kind of to that one from my texts here. What are you doing to address high net cost of attending SC Public University, 8th highest in the nation? Do you have any guidance on that?
We're going to shift it over to the senator.
Well, appreciate the question. But it reminds me a lot of other surveys that are taken. I don't know the source of that survey that ranked us in that particular area and what was all included. So I don't know. I think if you look as to what the impact of the needs-based scholarship would be, a lot of that would be addressed for those people who are, come from difficult circumstances, but have the drive and the great to get one of these scholarships to come in, and it would be a fantastic opportunity, which would make a difference. I mean, it's such an enormous program, and I know President John and his group have been working on. That's being worked on. I don't think it's specifically being
council website. You're able to track bills, and so like I think the bill is 1050 is the bill that the city manager was asking about, if I remember right, House Bill 1050. He can follow along and see when that bill is going to be up in committee, and then who's on that committee, and then they can, that way then we receive a lot more emails about an issue when you're in committee from all over the state. And then when it comes down to the bill being on the floor, a lot more times you're hearing from closer your constituents. Please email us. And when you do, what'll happen, how we read emails, the first thing we do is we find where they're from, and if someone's got their address or, that they're District 7 on the bottom, we'll see that first. And that causes us to read it a lot closer and make sure that we, if we can, sometimes it gets a little too busy, but then we try to respond to anybody that's from our district. If they're coming from national organizations or even all over the state, we do get them read, but we don't necessarily get an opportunity or don't have time to answer all of those emails.
I guess we're probably getting close to the finish line here. If something happening, I'm on Health and Human Services Committee. There was a bill, in fact, the first bill that we acted on this morning, Senate Bill 3. And really what it was is brought on by the Department of Health, and they wanted to get rid of the sunset clause regarding health emergencies. And they list the different types of health emergencies. There's a movement afoot to try to get rid of COVID-19 because it's going down at a certain point. And it's how we look at things a little different. As I told the committee this morning, COVID is the first political disease of my lifetime. I'm surprised by the number of people who read 7 Facebook posts and then they determine themselves to have a PhD in epidemiology. And we struggle with this, but this morning we moved on this Senate bill to allow the Department of Health that if there is an individual who has been diagnosed with COVID, say, and that individual will go around and continue knowingly infect people because of their presence, that the potential for the Department of Health to intervene. And as we found out this morning, there have been 100,000 cases, positive cases of COVID in the state, and they've only had to act on 10. They've only intervened on 10. Well, for me, I would like the Department of Health have that tool in their toolbox, that in case there is an individual who's going around, that they can take the proper steps. As soon as that meeting got done, go down to the floor of the Senate. Some of the more conservative people, you're having a conversation before I came and did this. Well, they just go off the wall on this deal, like individual rights. Are you going to do this? No, it's not individual rights. It's just doing right by people. It's just, to me, it wasn't much of a subject. But, for a lot of folks, they just, their dogma is so deep. And so, I think I speak for for the three of us. We are, we try to get through these issues calmly. And not from any particular far right, far left, or whatever, and try to work through these things as the people back home would want us to. And so I know I speak for the three of us that we're proud to represent Brookings. It's the only district in the state that is essentially a city. And so, and that's, we always remember where we came from. And so, what Representative Reed said, and I know it would be backed up by Representative Tidemann, if you have something you would like to share with us, you need to know that we will read these and your information, your input, whatever it is, important to us, and it affects the way we do our business out here. So you're not ignored. And with that, I will stand up.
Kelsey, are you on and able to talk to us?
Yeah, I just needed a little break, so I just decided to shut my computer down.
Oh, yeah. There was another question too, as far as how the committee is operating during session. And if you want to participate and speak for or against the bill, you can do it remotely. The bills are posted 48 hours before the bill hearing. And you have to contact the chair of that committee where that bill is going to be heard and ask that you be connected remotely, and you'll join the teams. We've had taxation, and all of the people from Department of Revenue, except the secretary, spoke through us teams, and it came through very good. You could interact back and forth, ask questions, and on down the line. But if you want to do it remotely, you can testify on a bill. If you want to come in person, there will be masks available right outside the committee room that you can put on. Again, the Senate requires masks at all of their committee meetings. In the House, there was only a few of us that were wearing masks. Some people feel very immune or that they've already had it. Others just want to live dangerously, I guess. I wear the mask.
And just one following on VJ's comment, just kind of a proud thing. We're working on a bill in front of Congress that they're talking about combining the barbers, the cosmetologists, and the massage boards, and the boards that oversee those three businesses. And I get letters from all over the state because I'm on the committee to look at it. And the best letter was from a massage therapist in Brookings. The best letter. And so that always makes me proud when I read through those letters and they do such a good job explaining the issue and why it's important to them.
Apologies for my absence there, guys. I had one other question that I want to fit in here. Lots of questions on text, but I can only get to a few here. So we have the state COVID, the small business grants and things like that. This question is there any of that one-time money that we referred to earlier that would be open for more allocation to small business relief?
That's to be determined. They have to get through these first grants to see how much money is going to be remaining from that program. And so I wish I had a better answer right now, but that's the kind of things we're working through.
Cool. Did any other questions come in the Q&A that I don't see any right now because I had to exit out?
We tried to answer them while you were out.
Good. Okay. Lovely. Well, I don't see anything else coming in here. And I want to make sure people have a few minutes between break here. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for scurrying up and getting in that room and joining us between your work today. We really appreciate it. Go get yourself some lunch and keep working hard for us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.